Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into the ever-fascinating world of success.
And let me tell you, we've got a real treat for you guys today.
We're not just skimming the surface here. We're going deep, folks.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about really dissecting what it takes to achieve success.
And we're not talking about those generic, one-size-fits-all self-help cliches.
No way.
We're talking about real, actionable insights. And guess what? We've got an awesome lineup of sources for this deep dive.
We're talking about practical advice, psychological insights, the real deal.
First up, we've got Mitch Manley with his super practical, habit-focused approach. This guy breaks it down into those bite-sized actions we all crave. Then, get ready to have your mind tickled because we're bringing in Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah, Dr. Peterson, he's bringing that deep psychological perspective, digging into things like IQ, goals, and even, get this, the power of scheduling.
I know, right? And if that wasn't enough, we've got a bonus round for you. We're spicing things up with some real-world wisdom from the one and only Jack Ma.
If you don't know Jack Ma, well, let's just say this guy's a master of overcoming setbacks and snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
He's like the embodiment of turning oops into opportunities.
Exactly. So we've got this awesome blend of practical advice, deep psychological insights, and real-life stories.
Trust me, you guys do not want to miss this. Okay, so Manley kicks things off with this brilliant analogy. He compares achieving success to climbing a mountain.
I love a good analogy.
He says that picking the right mountain, like the one that truly resonates with you, matters way more than having all the fancy gear and equipment.
It's about knowing what you want.
It's all about self-awareness. Knowing your values, your passions, that's the foundation. That's how you choose a mountain worth climbing. And the best part, Peterson is totally on board with this whole self-awareness thing.
Oh, absolutely. He's all about defining those goals, getting laser focused.
He even poses this question that just cuts right to the chase. How are you going to hit something if you don't know what it is?
It's so simple, yet it's mind-blowing. You can't just wander around aiming at nothing.
Right. You got to have that clear vision, that deep understanding of what you're actually going for.
Otherwise, you're just like shooting arrows into the void.
You'll get lost if you're not careful.
Okay, so we've got our mountain picked out. We've defined our goals. We're fired up and ready to conquer, right?
Absolutely. So what's next? Action. And Manley does not sugarcoat it here.
He's like, enough with the overthinking already. Thinking alone won't magically teleport you to the top of that mountain.
Right. You actually have to start climbing. You have to take action, even if it's just one step at a time.
Small steps, big results, my friend.
Love it.
Yeah.
But hold on, because here's where things get really interesting. Peterson, while totally agreeing that action is key, throws in this curveball about genetics.
Oh, here we go. The nature versus nurture debate.
He argues that both IQ and conscientiousness are largely predetermined.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait a minute. Does that mean we're all just doomed to fail if we weren't born with the right genes?
Yeah, it can be a little disheartening, right?
But don't hit that panic button just yet. Peterson doesn't leave us hanging on a cliffhanger. He's got some practical solutions. He believes we can work with our predispositions rather than feeling trapped by them. And guess what plays a huge role?
Let me guess. Habits.
Bingo! Peterson's a big believer in the power of habits, especially these things he calls micro-habits.
Micro-habits. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
We're talking about those tiny, seemingly insignificant actions that, when done consistently over time, can create massive transformation. It's not about relying solely on willpower, which can be fleeting, but about building a system, a routine that sets you up for success.
So it's like setting yourself up for success rather than waiting for it to magically happen.
Exactly. You've got to set clear goals, break them down into manageable steps, and then, this is crucial, schedule those steps into your day.
So it's like that old saying, fail to plan, plan to fail.
Exactly. It's all about creating those positive feedback loops.
Creating systems, building momentum, turning those small steps into a journey that takes you further than you ever imagined. This is getting me pumped. But this whole idea of setting yourself up for success, investing in your growth, it perfectly ties into Manley's next point.
You're talking about his emphasis on investment and mentorship, right?
You know it. Manley actually shares this story about how he hired a YouTube coach.
A YouTube coach, like to up his video game?
Exactly. But get this. This coach cost him a whopping $500 an hour.
$500 an hour. Now that's an investment.
Right. This was when Manley was just starting out too. But here's the thing. That investment, It allowed him to shave months off his learning curve. He understood that sometimes the smartest thing you can do is invest in accelerating your growth through someone else's expertise.
It's like a shortcut, but you're paying for knowledge and experience. You're paying to avoid those costly mistakes.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you don't have to have all the answers, but you have to be willing to invest in yourself to seek out those who do.
It's like that saying, success leaves clues. And who better to learn from than those who've already blazed the trail?
It's all about surrounding yourself with the right people,
Yeah.
learning from their journeys, and shortening your own path to the summit. And speaking of mentors, can we just take a moment to talk about Jack Ma?
Oh, yeah, Jack Ma. Now, there's a guy who embodies mentorship, even if he didn't always have a traditional mentor guiding him.
This is a guy who failed his primary school entrance exams twice. He was rejected from over 30 jobs, including, get this, KFC.
KFC.
He even got rejected from Harvard, not once, not twice, but 10 times. But here's the thing. Through all of that, he never ever gave up.
That's incredible. He had this unshakable belief in himself and his vision, even when it felt like the whole world was saying no.
It's truly inspiring, and you know what? It's incredibly relatable.
What do you mean?
Jack Ma's story reminds us that we all face setbacks, rejections, moments of doubt. He didn't have it easy. He stumbled, he fell, he had to dust himself off and keep going. But he never stopped climbing, and that's what makes him such a powerful example of resilience and determination.
It's not about never failing. It's about never giving up. It's about learning from those setbacks and coming back stronger, more determined than ever.
And that, my friends, is a lesson we can all take to heart.
It's really about taking that first step. Like even if it feels tiny and insignificant, because those little actions, those micro habits, they really can snowball over time.
It's like you always hear that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But honestly, I think sometimes people get so caught up in thinking about the huge goal, the 1,000 miles, that they forget to actually, well, enjoy the journey itself.
That's so true. And that's where Manly's whole thing about trusting the process comes in, right? You've got to find those moments of joy, those little victories in the day-to-day.
It's like, yeah, there can be ups and downs. That's life. But you just got to trust that each step, even the tough ones, are moving you in the right direction.
And speaking of tough, can we circle back to Jack Ma for a sec? Talk about resilience. This guy built an empire on it.
Seriously. I mean, we already talked about the rejections he faced, schools, jobs, people telling him no, left and right. But he just, I don't know, he had this uncanny ability to bounce back, stronger each time.
It's like those rejections, they almost fueled him. Like they proved he wasn't meant to fit in some ordinary box.
He was destined to carve his own path. That's what's so damn inspiring about him. He reminds us that sometimes, actually, maybe even a lot of the time, the biggest successes, they come from the biggest challenges.
Ma's journey reminds me of this Winston Churchill quote. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Ooh, I love that. It's not about dodging failure completely. It's about having the guts to get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going, even when it's hard. Which, let's be real, it's going to get hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties back into Manly's point about faith, doesn't it?
Totally. It's that unwavering belief in yourself, in your vision, even when you can't quite see the finish line yet.
And speaking of taking action, it's not enough to just set those goals and make those pretty schedules, right? Peterson would agree on that one.
Oh, for sure. You've got to be willing to actually do the work, take those risks, those calculated risks, keep moving, even when you can't see what's around the corner.
Be adventurous, right?
Yes. You got to be open to exploring new territory. That's where the real growth happens, outside that comfort zone.
And sometimes to really grow, you need a little help along the way, a guide, a mentor. That takes us back to Manly's point about investment, doesn't it?
Remember that YouTube coach, $500 an hour? Manly really walked the walk when it came to believing in mentors.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. There are people out there who've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
People with those valuable lessons learn the hard way.
Finding those mentors, those guides, that's how you unlock your full potential.
And sometimes those mentors, they pop up when you least expect it. A book, maybe a chance meeting, or even just stumbling across an awesome podcast.
So true. It doesn't have to be some formal thing. It's about being open, ready to learn from every experience.
Every interaction, every challenge.
And since we're talking about unexpected sources of wisdom, can we just appreciate Jack Ma's whole vibe?
Oh, totally. He really didn't fit the mold, did he?
Not at all. But he owned it. He embraced what made him different, and he knew how to connect with people on a human level.
You're talking about that LQ of his, right?
Yes, in a world where it's all about me, he dared to put compassion and collaboration first.
He got that true success isn't about tearing others down, it's about lifting each other up.
It's not a zero-sum game, folks. When you shine your light, you give others permission to do the same. And those little acts of kindness, that's what makes a real difference in the world.
It's about realizing we're all in this together, right? Supporting each other's growth. That creates a ripple effect, a wave of positive change.
It's like, you know how they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Jack Ma really got that.
100%. And this whole going together thing, supporting each other, it actually connects back to what Manley said about listening. It's not enough to just have those mentors. You got to really hear what they're saying.
That's like, yeah, anybody can just sit there and take in information, but to actually listen, to be present with it, open to those new ideas, maybe challenge what you thought you knew, that's different.
Manley's a big believer that being a good listener, taking in feedback, even when it's tough, it's crucial if you want to grow.
We don't have all the answers right. There's always something new to learn.
And sometimes the best lessons come from where you least expect it.
For sure. And sometimes those lessons, they force us to get real with ourselves.
Yeah.
Challenge those voices in our heads telling us we're not good enough, smart enough.
That's where Peterson's work on self-awareness is so key. You've got to own your thoughts, your beliefs, figure out those patterns holding you back.
It's empowering, right? Knowing you have the power to change your own story.
Totally. And that feeling of being in control, of knowing you can create change, that's tied to trusting the process.
Having faith, even when you can't see the whole path laid out in front of you.
Exactly. You keep putting in the effort, you stay open to learning, and you get there.
It's like those moments of uncertainty, those forks in the road, they're part of any worthwhile journey, wouldn't you say?
Totally agree. And it's those moments, those choices we make when we're unsure that really show our true colors.
Do you play it safe, or do you take the leap?
Trusting you've got the strength to handle whatever comes your way.
That's the difference between dreaming about success and actually achieving it.
And as we've seen with Jack Ma, those leaps of faith, they don't always equal instant victory.
There will be setbacks, times when you feel like giving up.
But those tough times, that's where your resilience is tested, your determination gets stronger.
It's not a failure if you learn from it, right? It's a chance to adjust, refocus, and come back even more committed.
Exactly. And that, my friends, is what we're all about. Finding your own version of success, your own path.
It's not about copying someone else's journey. It's about designing your own, figuring out what matters to you, what you value, and then going after it with everything you've got.
You build those essential habits, you stay open to learning, and you trust the process.
Success isn't a finish line you cross, it's a journey. A constant adventure of growing, learning, becoming a better version of yourself.
So go explore. Embrace those unknowns. Trust your gut. Don't be afraid to go after those dreams, no matter how big or small.
The world needs what you bring to the table. Your passion, your vision, your own unique brand of awesome.